early, and then he came back and dominated on Nat Fyfe, who was best on ground at quarter time, but was kickless and handballless in the second term.
Been some great one-on-one so far this afternoon. Nat Nui and Sandilands has been one of them, and that's about to resume. 7 points to margin as we start the second half, and we're in essence no closer to knowing who will be the Kings of the West tonight. Been a tight contest from the outset, and the ball out of play, and we'll get a reset from the boundary throw-in as David King is downstairs.
Dwayne, we've got Zach Dawson's been substituted out of the game, hasn't made his way back out after half-time. Obviously that ankle issue really getting hold of him. He will play no further part. Nick Subin onto the ground for some midfield run.
Yes, Nick sub in, if you like, because he's just been subbed in, and that's a huge loss for Fremantle as well.
It might actually work in their favour, though, because they haven't been dominated by the tall forwards for the West Coast Eagles, and maybe a little bit of extra run and another good ball user could help them.
Fyfe hits it low and wide and just inside the line to Mundy.
He'd be happy to have a touch. Now Fyfe's been a long time since he's seen the leather.
Well, he got his head pulled off, he got the free kick, and then executed a pinpoint pass. It was right on the line, as we all saw.
Nat Nui lurking here with Sandilands to fly. Shuey just got his hands free. Hutchings. Clancy Pearce.
And that's the other pivotal matchup, Dwayne. Shuey on Crowley. If Shuey can burst through and start getting some possession, it's a big win.
Rosa. Well, he almost had Pryor there. Duffield wraps him up. He looked around, then he was caught. It was a split second.
He just lands awkwardly there. I think it might be something he's had a few issues with as well. Obviously aggravated at that left ankle.
West Coast sub is Will Schofield for the record, so he's still in hand. Daniel Pearce wobbles it back towards Pavlich on the wing. He really came down and made some ground to make that his.
It was an interesting passage of play there, just watching Nick Nat Nui. He's just not as fit as he needs to be the ball hunter at ground level that he was when he was at his absolute best. At the moment, he's chugging along next to Aaron Sandilands, but that second effort at stoppage is just not quite there at the moment.
Subin the sub to Neil to Ballantyne.
Well, the other thing he didn't do then, Jared, he had his back to the footy and the bloke ran right up behind him and kicked it.
It's wide. Duffield, pocket, Cripps right with him. Clark drugs Cripps initially, wrapped him up. Took a while. Took an enormous amount of time to get away with that handball. Cripps, head down, jumped on, burrowing his way through. Umpire circling. Glass, Gaff, Pritis, Selwood. Tight roping the boundary, and it works. Hearn.
Big inclusion for the Eagles, Shannon Hearn. They've missed his drive and his experience.
Still got some strapping on that knee that's worried him, kept him out. And that's to Darling.
Gee, that's a big kick off one step, isn't it?
And now they run for Darling. And he pumps it. It's a wobbler. Hutchings gets back. Sutcliffe right with him. Taken to the line. Tried to keep it alive for as long as possible. Gains another 20. Big round of applause here, the West Coast fans, for their home game. Get a ball in. Just joined us. West Coast Eagles have not led in this game. And Fremantle from the outset. And the ball in. Shuey just caught. Threw that away. Subin just on. Wrapped up. Ball up. Good spot for a ball up here for the West Coast.
Well, they've got the spare in Shepherd trying to cover the fast break.
Hearn. Marston. And in a mark. Dive. Front spot. Position A.
That's brilliant term footy. That is something that you don't just make up on the spot. That is something that you've practiced over summer. And the coach has said, if we get it in this position, if you get it and you can't quite snap it round, make sure it goes to the very critical spot. And that's exactly where Jack Darling was.
Yeah, any forward worth his salt either starts in front or gets to that front spot as the kick comes in, because that's where the quick short kick always lands.
Didn't kick a goal last week, only a behind to his name so far today, and he squeezes it in. It's a one-point ball game.
Well, been a good start by the West Coast Eagles. They've had the ball for the majority of the quarter in their forward 50. Clark had an opportunity at the other end of the ground, which didn't amount to too much. But just have a look at this brilliant piece of work by Marston. Really good spot.
What I like from that, Jared, you could see Jack Darling was on the move before the kick came in. He knew that he had to be in the front spot.
Pretty pleased with the work there from Marston. And there's the Eagles players, a couple of whom you'd expect to come straight back into the side, in particular Lacroix.
Ball up. Nat knew he was clever, but he knocked it down to Crowley. Long towards Pavlich. McKenzie right with him. Shepherd, well, he had it but lost it. Main almost dragged down. Didn't get the benefit of the doubt from the umpire there. Ball in. David King.
Just having a look at how the Eagles are actually scoring their goals at the moment. You can see they're all 4 goals from stoppages. 1 from a centre bounce, 2 from counter-attack from down back, and 1 forward 50. Adam Simpson's having an impact.
Silver caught a little high initially. Umpire cuts Fife some slack. A good battle. It'll resume here. Side by side, they bang each other.
Interesting matchup in defence, Jason, with Clark on Darling.
Sandilands the flick. Ballantyne lurking. Bennell stole it from him. Hugs the boundary with the kick. Bouncing ball. Johnson off some ricochets to Gaff. Shuey. And well worked in the end. Hutchings over the top, and now Rosa can go. Open space. Darling really working hard back inside 50. Feeding back to the goal square now. Centering to Kennedy instead. Little too short. Got the half volley. Still bangs the kick long. Goal square. Darling under it. Tunbridge drops it. That was his moment. Still a chance. Mops up his mess.
It looked like they'd made a meal of it about 3 or 4 times. They had the overlap run. Rosa was coming down the wing. He got the good shepherd from Gaff. Should have hit Kennedy with the short pass. He didn't. But then Kennedy mops up, and they've got a 2-on-1 here. And the ball just kept turning and floating, and Tunbridge just couldn't reel it in. But at least he followed it up. He kept his eye on the ball. He collected it well, and that's a good finish from the angle.
For the first time in this game, the West Coast Eagles are in front. They've kicked the last 3 goals of this contest. And Tunbridge, first game for the year, 3rd game of his career, and first goal of his season. And that was huge. From the ball up, Neal on hands and knees, can't thread it out. Crozier tries to squeeze it out there.
That was slack play from Tunbridge.
Oh, that could be 50.
They had it all running for them. You've just got to settle down and play with a cool head. But Subin gets the ball. And it's right now, Kingy, they need a response from the midfield.
They do, and that's firmly where the challenge is right now. And Subin's the man. I think that he's a gun runner. He can really ignite and get them going right now.
Brown to Hutchings, who's had a bit of it. Cox, good hands in front of Subin. Had the reach. Wants a runner. Just pumps the ball long. Darling's down there. Big fly Johnson hits the deck. McFarlane, they've got some work to do now, Freo, to get this momentum back. They're not going to get it here. Darling tries the shrug. Stolen back by Spur.
That was a good effort by Spur. He killed that ball. That was going to be 1 extra handball and then into an open goal.
The West Coast Eagles were on the ropes in the opening term, taking punch after punch after punch, and they're landing a few of their own right now. Critis on hands and knees, tries to scoop out. Just couldn't get it out. The umpire will sort it out. Both teams on 3 wins, 3 losses. The winner will be inside the 8 tonight. 4 wins and 3. The loser will be outside. Some work to do in the coming rounds. Rosa, a wobbler. Good pace, Shuey. He made that his. He was caught behind Johnson, worked his way to the front.
Well, he's a quality player, and this is an opportunity for a quality player to make his mark on the game. No matter who you are, if you've got Ryan Crowley on your back, most of the time you're going to have limited opportunities. Well, this is one time where, like a Nathan Jones last night, Jason, go back and kick a big game goal.
They kicked 1 goal late in the second term, West Coast. They could be further in front.
Ryan Crowley just handed him over to the defensive zone when it went forward there, and He'll be very thankful that he's missed.
So another miss. Duffield told to go now by the umpire. Sandilands and Cox. Clark hits the deck. Darling attacks it. Crozier, Sandilands, the ball. Stolen. Brown outside of the boot. Kept it alive. Good spot to hit. Set took the pack down. Took a couple of players down with him.
Well done, Subin.
Sutcliffe. The ball on the line.
Oh, hell, that's
Did that move through the air?
Yeah. And still a West Coast Eagle down. And he has not moved. We'll keep an eye on that. Trainers are on him. But that looks like bad news. They haven't used their sub yet. So that could happen right now. Will Schofield the sub. And there is the West Coast player down. I think it's Cripps.
Well, here's the problem with Pavlich up there. The scoring options dry up. And that's a poor kick.
On the line.
Oh, and bounce back in.
And stolen back by Subin. Breaks free. Fife. His big moment here. Strolls in open goal. The sidestep. And the nail. It's all square again.
You talk about some fortuitous luck in terms of hugging the boundary. It was the kick coming out of defence was virtually on the boundary, as we see Cripps coming off here. He just got polar, got sandwiched. Oh, that looks nasty.
He was lucky.
And then all of a sudden the ball bounced on the line and came back in, which released the Dockers here. And Fife good enough to kick the goal. You see Cripps up and about, at least walking around the boundary line, but that's against the run of play, that goal.
Incredible, Jason, and that pointy ball as against the round supper ball can create a few issues.
Selwood slips one out to Brown. Over to you, West Coast. Can they respond? Yo. Brown. And getting there first was Duffield. He read it well. Kennedy caught him by the leg in the end. Bain. Johnson, a little 1-2, trying to set it up wide to the wing. Sutcliffe.
Interesting role for Chris Mayne. They're trying to get him into the game. He's working pretty hard, starting to get a little bit of the leather.
Duffield also had plenty of it. Launches long. Ballantyne up and misread it. Brown takes an easy mark in the end. Marston has life set out wide. We've got a little bit of Cripps' ear on his knee.
Got Chris Mayne picking up Darling at the present time. They're swinging them round, just trying to get the odd loose man. Here's an opportunity. That's in the back, surely.
Well, I thought he used his body okay.
Okay.
Took a little dive there, Mayne. Darling inboard.
Needs to be a good kick.
Cox. Good strip by Clark. Cox wraps him up and strips him. Fantastic contest. They dive in left, right and centre, and there's another ball up. Scores still level. Cripps still in the hands of trainers.
A dangerous square-up ball if you turn it over there.
It might be the perfect time for the West Coast to substitute now. When you look at the impact of Subin already, he's been out there 12 minutes, he's had 4 disposals. He's really injected some speed into this Fremantle midfield.
Quick kick. Clark's ball.
And then he's just kick it to space and turn it into a race.
I tell you what, Scott Selwood just got poleaxed by David Mundy.
Spur was good. Hutchings was just as good though. Winning hard himself or give a free away. Could have taken the legs of Ballantyne, but I think Ballantyne jumped at the same time. Could well have kept his feet. Neal throws it out. Mazungu. Crozier tries to barrel it forward. Back to Ballantyne. McKenzie got there in time. Big hip and shoulder by the Pav. Crozier. Daniel Pearce. Tucked up against the boundary. Goes for the miracle. Mark by Hearn. West Coast on the quick rebound. It's been at breakneck pace this game at times. And right now it's hit that mark again. Hutchings inboard. Yo to set it all up. Darling wants it. It's in front. Good match up that. Darling Mayne. Johnson a 1-on-2 now. Assisted by Johnson. They get away with it. Fremantle. Barlow. Mayne. Subin, who has added something. Free kick advantage. Johnson to pump it long if he wants to. Fife lurking. Got it.
It's a good move by Ross Lyon. He's taken Nat Fife down to where he's very comfortable, and Scott Selwood where he's most exposed, and that is when this bloke can jump one out.
Tell you what, the Elliott Yo kick out of defence to a 50-50 in the centre square was a dangerous one.
Yeah, he asked Jack Darling to do a hell of a lot. Darling's work rate incredible. Loving the way he's just chasing and tackling and harassing when he hasn't got the ball. He's being matched by Kennedy, who's doing it well. But this turnover gives Fife a genuine opportunity to get his second for the term.
Hard to know which way this one's going to go. Fremantle won both derbies last year. West Coast smashed Freo pre-season. Fife for the lead back. Can't get the goal. That would have been big.
Just have a look at Mundy there, just dropping the hip and shoulder right into the midriff of Selwood. Took him a while to recover from that one.
Hearn. Oh, smothered by Ballantyne. Well played, Ballantyne. Goes back in. Hearn. Caught by Mazungu.
Oh, well done.
Just got the handball away. Fife. He ran into Prentice. Took him on.
Should have been dropping the ball.
Ballantyne kick half smothered. Main. Barlow. Mundy. Back to the spot. Crowley.
Just reckon there are times in this game when we don't reward the good tackles. And Nat Fife just took on Matt Prentice. He ran straight at him with the footy and thought, I'll run through you or over you. And Prentice took him down. The ball just spilled out. Incorrect disposal. Should have been a free kick to Prentice.
Yeah, the umpires say you've got 3 steps.
When you make a decision to run over or through a bloke, that's your prior opportunity.
Yeah,
he took him on and dropped the shoulder into it.
Even if it's one large step. He sized him up, looked at him and said, no, I'm going to take you on. In the meantime, Crowley, that's a spear. Splendid, all class. And Fremantle in control for a moment.
Having a pretty good game is Ryan Crowley. He's back to business, and he's always been comfortable in front of goals, whereas more highly qualified forwards have struggled under the pressure of a derby today. He's just gone back and nailed it. And in fact, it was Mundy, I think, who basically said to Ryan Crowley, you have this kick. He didn't really lead, just a couple of steps, and Mundy's kick was superb.
Fantastic crowd in. Record derby crowd is 43,527 back in 2006. There's not many spare seats here this afternoon. Neil bursts free. They've got the momentum again, Fremantle. Pavlich takes a couple down. Mazungu tries to take it with him. Ball in. Barlow getting some work done. Crozier getting some work done. And if you didn't hear, Zach Dawson already subbed out for Fremantle. Will Schofield, the sub for the West Coast, still available when they want him. Sandilands knocks it down. Nat Nui gets his palm down. Stolen back. Pearce. A high ball. Tough one to mark. And dropped. Clancy Pearce.
Oh, that's a big miss. Given a gift, and he knocked it back. They're surging at the moment, the Doggers. Really good period for them.
18 minutes gone, third term.
Oh, how's that?
Straight down the middle, stolen back though by Neil.
It's a strange option to go to Prentice, who's not particularly strong overhead.
Over the head of Mazungu. Hearn thumps it clear and probably thinks that could have been a better result from the start. They just kicked it wide and we got an out of play there.
A couple of insiders at the Eagles have suggested that Darren Glass may have just tweaked the back during training on Friday night, and they've suggested he may just struggle to get through the game. It was interesting that they made Schofield as the sub, so just keep an eye on that as this game progresses towards the last quarter.
Good option to have him. He's cooked. Clancy Pearce, he wants to make amends. Pavlich flicks it up. De Boer got Neil. Tries to thread his way through. Sandilands. Back to Subin. Some space. The spear pass. Got it. Clark.
Leading pretty well. I was watching Darren Glass in the build-up to that, and he was working as hard as ever, but he just couldn't defend that kick. They are extension arms, and the kick was spot on.
Multiple changes going on the bench behind us. But all eyes on Clark, and they've settled. Fremantle kicked the last 3 goals of this game.
Well, he gets his second, Zach Clark, and the difference in the game at the moment It's purely and simply conversion. All the opportunities that went to waste for the West Coast Eagles in the second term are now really coming back to haunt them as the Dockers create some opportunities of their own and, more importantly, finish them. We just saw Intensifies miss an easy one. We've also seen in the last couple of minutes a couple of goals from good set shots from the Dockers and really starting to put pressure on the Eagles now.
Contested possessions on your screen. The biggest margin of this game, by the way, 17-point Fremantle's way. It's back to 14, which it was at quarter time. Subin's kick, smothered. Shepherd got in the way, back to Subin though. It's another chance, smothered again. So they've lifted their weight again, the West Coast. They're on the ropes, but they're still fighting.
It's a real challenge, isn't it, for Chris Mayne? He's pushed him back to centre-half back on Jack Darling. And he's basically said, well, if you're not going to get a kicker or have an influence at one end, we need your help right now.
Cripps.
No Dawson. Somebody has to stand up and get that defence right.
Hearn. Wide to Darling, a little too wide. Johnson read it well. It's a good play.
It wasn't a great kick, though. I mean, he had short options, Shannon. I know he's got a great leg, but you don't have to kick it long every time you get it.
27 possession, 11 mark game last week. Michael Johnson, he has been in good form. Neil, a twist and a turn, spur, got there just in time. May. Space to use. Clark comes down the lender hand. It's ignored. He goes wider. Sutcliffe. Lysette holds him up. Critical stages here, third term. Nat Nui cuts it off for a momentum swing. Lysette tried to thread the handball through to Darling. Ball again bounced unkindly. Spur slung to the deck. Ball up.
I think the subs had a huge impact here, Nick Subin. He's had 8 disposals this quarter. That's a fantastic effort from Nick Nui just to get an arm in there and spoil that ball. I think the biggest question coming out of this game will be, will Schofield as the choice, as the sub player, Gerard?
Could well be. I think it all depends on who they sub at the moment. And
Rosa bends it around. This will be against the run of play. Just misses. Sorry, Gerard.
well, you look at if they did make a sub right now, Kingy, they could put a Shannon Hearn into the middle, and therefore you equilibrate the lack of a runner on the bench, if you like. He can play halfback. He can also play as a runner. My issue is at the moment, do they take Lysette off the ground, or do they take Nat Nui off the ground to actually add to that run?
McKenzie puts it back to the hot spot again. Kennedy won't get there. McFarlane does, but he fists it straight through Neil. Marston, Neil, both beeline it. Neil got it. Handball was indecisive. Yo got his hands free. Hutchings, Tunbridge, about to be run down. Just got the kick away. It's a tumbler. It's across the face. 2 goals the margin. There is Schofield. He's got the vest off. He's ready to come on. Will it be Glass that comes off? Johnson long. McKenzie marked the last one. Almost plucks this one. Sandilands the crumb. Neil. 5. Clever kick. And the runners come. Barlow's got Mundy inside. Not a lot to go too long. Indecisive caught. Almost pulled. Just got away with it. Neil to 5 to Mzungu.
Well, that was just magnificent watching from above. It looked like cage fighting. He was corralled and finally got down, but Mundy's smart enough to get the hands on the ball. Lysette coming from the ground. I wonder if they'll put the vest on.
To the pocket. Just got there, Barlow.
Looks like it's Scott Lysette that's been substituted out of this game. Will Schofield makes his way onto the arena.
Nat Nui having a rest as well. And it opens up for Pearce. Good hands. He can kick a long left foot ball. It's drifting across. Cox got a hand on it into the post. Pensive crowd at the moment. 3 minutes 31 left to three-quarter time. 13 points the margin. Yo entrusted with the kick in. He heads in the Hearn direction.
So Schofield onto the ground. The question is who goes either forward or into the middle.
Barlow to Pearce on the left again.
He missed that one, Selwood. He's weary. He's hanging on.
5. Selwood tried to take him down. Crowley just beyond his range. Havlich is thinking about the quick lead. He was dumped behind play. Subin goes down. Centering kick. Duffield the target. There's Schofield. Fresh man on. Got a fist on it. Darling caught. Rosa tries to slip a handball up. Jumped on. Schofield to Hutchings. Good use of the body, Darling. Strength again.
Well, they've got the most run they've ever had today on the ground. Nat Nui's off the ground. Lysette's off the ground. So they've got their greatest amount of running power now, the Dockers. Can they make an impact over the next 2.5 minutes before three-quarter time? Need a goal before that, just to grab some momentum back.
Kennedy flicks it wide. They're cautious here. 2:29 left. Cripps wants to go backwards to go forward. Goes to Glass in the middle. He has some space, and he's got a runner. Mackenzie. Schofield, fresh man on. He's got 2 to beat here. Out of play might be a win, and he sees the ball across the line. They'll reset.
Prittis onto the ground, and Shuey off. Brown coming on for Mackenzie, and Nat Nui on for Marston. Everybody is just exhausted at the present time.
They'll get a rest shortly. Prittis in the meantime. Tired kick, cut off by Neal. Mundy, tired kick towards Clancy Pearce. De Boer, just in time, got it off. Throws here a little tired. Took too long to get a kick away. Rosa dives in to Schofield. Shepherd, little 1-2 with Brown. His kick smothered by Pearce. Ricochets it back again. Selwood's a cook goose.
Well done, Pearce.
Throws it to the line, and they're pushing and shoving. There's some spice in it.
A bit of finger pointing going on too between Brown and Pearce.
Back into play. 1 minute 40 left to three-quarter time. Rosa caught. Yo jumps in. Tries to flick it out. Mazungu had it, lost it. Still a chance. 15 players around this ball. Clark, Mazungu, hacks it wide. Over the head of Mackenzie. Knocked forward. Pearce read it well. Outside of the boot. Darling comes hard. Not 15. Gave it to Yo. Open space. Gaff. He's got a couple of hunting him down. Needs to bounce kindly. It does. Wants to come back though. Mackenzie. Down to a minute. Corralled. Dangerous.
He made himself play on there, Eric Mackenzie.
Barlow. Spur. Johnson.
That could prove a really costly turnover.
This could be huge.
Yep.
Fremantle could get the last score. Pearce is on the left. Ballantyne. Well, he had a shot on the siren earlier. Can he nail this one?
Eric Mackenzie panicked because he fumbled the ball and then thought, oh, better play on. And then the man on the mark said, okay, you played on, put pressure on him, turnover kick. And now Freo are having a shot for goal. Really poor play. They just need a little bit of composure, the West Coast Eagles, when they've got the ball.
Should get the distance. Or kick from just inside the paint. Asking how long left, how much space. Smaller man, Bennell on the mark. He strolls in. 8 seconds left. Strikes it well, and that could be priceless.
His impact today, Jason, has been as strong as most people out on the ground. His work rate has been superb. He's been involved in a number of goals.
I actually dropped the mark. That's why I played on. Yep. My apologies. I thought he actually fumbled the mark.
But he's a player that hasn't created too many mistakes or made too many mistakes under pressure over the years. He's just become a grade defender. But it has caught them off guard. And Ballantyne, he has made his mark this afternoon.
It's a costly drop mark, isn't it?
Big drop mark.
Instead of being a couple of goals down, you're now 3 goals down. And you just wonder if they can kick straight enough to pin it back, the West Coast Eagles. 5 goals, 11. They've had as many scoring shots.
Siren sounds for three-quarter time. And a good time for Fremantle to have their biggest lead of the game. 19 points the margin at the last break. West Coast 5-11, 41. Fremantle 9-6, 60.